Chicago, and for the first time ever, the Boston Red Sox nation invades Wrigleyville. When these two teams met in the 1918 World Series, they didn't play at Wrigley Field. They played at Comiskey Park. A carnival-like atmosphere for this weekend series between the Boston Red Sox, the defending world champions, against the Chicago Cubs. And both teams off to pretty decent starts this season. Boston 4 behind Baltimore in the American League East. The Cubs have won 11-15, and they are now 5 games over 500. Hi again, everybody. I'm Thom Brennaman. Thanks so much for being with us this weekend from Wrigley Field in Chicago. We're going to talk about baseball a lot during the game. But for the fans of these two franchises that have lived and died with their teams for over 120 years, this weekend is the place to be in Chicago. For more on that, here's Steve Lyons.
All right, Thom, thanks a lot. I'm out on Waveland Avenue with the fans here. And, you know, this might be the only series in baseball this year where it's a lot less about the Red Sox and Cubs and a lot more about the Red Sox and Cubs fans. It's about the fans. I mean, you're talking about Cub fans here that have been suffering for 97 years. My goodness, did they have a shot this year?
They have a shot this year.
Tell me why. Come on, a little more enthusiasm.
This is our year. Our guys are out right now. We're still in the wild card hunt. We're in the lead right now. This is our year.
I know a lot of people behind you. A lot of Red Sox fans out here. After 86 years, tell me about the joy of the Red Sox fans now.
It feels great. It feels great. Finally, we did it. This is for all the players, all the fans, all the grandfathers, fathers, everybody.
But tell me, do you feel the pain of this guy over here? All you guys, all you Red Sox fans, you feel the pain.
I do feel the pain, but guess what? They're just making excuses, you know?
Same old story. Tommy, we gotta throw it back up to you before these guys start going at each other. Let it happen on the field. I'll be there in a minute, Tom.
The fans were going at it in Chicago yesterday, again today, and of course tomorrow night. David Ortiz and Manny and company in town to take on Carlos Zambrano and the Chicago Cubs with the National League's MVP thus far this season, Derek Lee. First pitch coming up next. The first meeting between the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs since that 1918 World Series, which of course until last year was the last time the Boston Red Sox were crowned World Series champions. They had Babe Ruth in the lineup and on the mound. He won a pair of games on the mound in that series for Boston and then was shipped to the Yankees during the offseason of the following year, and the curse of the Bambino had officially begun. The curse of the Billy Goat has been taking place here in Chicago for the better part of 50 years. And they feel like if the Red Sox can do it, Steve, why can't we?
This is an organization that has been close over the last few years. There's a lot of discussion here in Chicago now that it used to be the lovable losers, but now when you start to taste a little bit of victory, these fans here in Chicago want a winner year in and year out, and they are now expecting this franchise to comply with those requests. It used to be, hey, go to Wrigley, it's a lot of fun. Not anymore. They want a winner here in town now.
Terry Francona's starting lineup today for the Boston Red Sox, brought to you by Taco Bell. Johnny Damon leads off in center field. Edgar Renteria, the shortstop, and big David Ortiz, a couple of home runs here yesterday, is in the lineup at first base. Manny Ramirez, a cleanup hitter in left. Trot, Nixon in right, with the captain Jason Varitek behind the plate. A ladder third of Bill Miller. Mark Bellhorn, a pair of former Cubs. And on the mound, right-hander Wade Miller. Starting it for the Cubs, their ace. Even with Pryor, without Pryor, with Wood, without Wood, it's Carlos Zambrano.
This guy is nasty, and you look at the numbers, don't really show what he's been able to do this season. I mean, over his last 2 starts, a couple of starts ago, he threw 8 innings of 1-hit ball against the Dodgers, 7 innings of 3-hit ball against San Diego. You look at the scouting report on him, you don't know what you're going to get from him. He has about 3 different fastballs, a couple different breaking balls. Don't listen to him because he talks to himself a lot out there on the mound, and he's got that heavy, heavy sinker. It's like a bowling ball, and Scooter knows all about it, and he's going to tell you what it's like.
How you doing? It's Scooter. Check this out. I can be a real sinker. I look like a regular fastball, but then I dive down like an anvil fell on my head. Ow! The things I do for show business.
So Carlos Zambrano, who just turned 23 years young a week and a half ago, came to the Cubs in 2001. became a regular part of their rotation in 2002 over the second half. And over the last 2 years, he has won 29 games.
Really carried this ball club last year when Wood and Pryor were hurt, and he's doing it again now.
Johnny Damon looks at a strike, and we are underway. Damon having another outstanding year for the Red Sox. .339 hitter with 32 runs batted in, 7 stolen bases. He's 2 runs shy of 1,000 runs scored in his career. And he has scored the most runs among all players during interleague going back to '97. Our broadcast available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Cosvilla and Angel Torres are commentators in Espanol. 2-2 on Damon. The Red Sox come limping into this series. The Cubs surging really for the first time all year. Fastball high and away, 3-2 to Damon. The Red Sox 11-15 over their last 26 games. They've lost 8 of 11 and 11 of their last 16 away from Fenway Park. Terry Francona said before the game, everyone and every facet has been to blame. Ball 4 to Damon. State Farm covers the field. And let's see how the Cubs line up defensively. Hollingsworth to start in left field. Corey Patterson in center. Jeremy Burnitz has played an outstanding right field, replacing Sammy Sosa. Aramis Ramirez, Navy Perez, Todd Walker, a former Red Sox, and Derek Lee third to first. Zambrano and Blanco the batter.
Mentioned earlier, Tommy, Johnny Damon with 7 stolen bases this year. Hasn't run quite as much in recent years. Led the American League in 2000 with 46 stolen bases.
Now the former St. Louis Cardinals shortstop signed as a free agent during the offseason. Edgar Renteria looks at a strike. Renteria got off to a dismal start in the month of April, but has hit .343 over the last 2.5 weeks to raise his batting average 31 points. Strike 2. And he didn't like the call by Jerry Lane, today's home plate umpire.
This is the hard sinker down and in. You see where Blanco set up. Just let the movement of the ball take it to the inner half. Pretty good pitch.
0-2 to Renteria. Breaking ball, it stayed up and in. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
This is not the Zambrano that the Cubs have seen over his last few outings. Really struggling with location right now. Talking to himself, as we said in the scouting report. Yells and screams at himself a lot. Sometimes the umpires think he's yelling at them.
Well, he'll do that from time to time as well. On
very
opening
emotional
day this year in Arizona, Zambrano could not hold a huge lead. Dusty Baker removed him from the game before he could get through 5 innings. And on the way back to the dugout, screaming at the home plate umpire. And he strikes out Renteria.
Now this is all the weapons that Zambrano uses. That's just a 4-seam fastball. We talked about him sinking the ball a lot. Occasionally forcing that fastball, run it up in the strike zone to get a strikeout. But he also has a nasty slider and a split finger to go along with that heavy sinking fastball.
Now big David Ortiz, .303 batter, 16 home runs. 2 of those came here in the series opener yesterday, and 50 runs batted in. What an unbelievable pickup Ortiz has been since Minnesota did not offer him a contract 2 years ago. And the numbers don't lie. He has been a beast during interleague play the last 2.5 years. .375 hitter with 11 home runs. And the shift put on defensively by the Chicago defense. Fouled back out of play. It's one thing to put on a shift, but you can't put your defense in the bleachers.
Well, that's what Ted Williams used to say. They can't play high enough. Look at that. A couple of the Cubs were a little bit upset with the reaction of Ortiz's home run, but when you hit a ball that far, you better be able to stand and watch it a little bit.
1-1 on David Ortiz. Slider misses inside. 2 balls and a strike.
Corey Patterson in yesterday's ball game stole third base with the score 7-1. but it was the 4th inning, and you know that no lead is ever safe here at Wrigley Field. So there weren't a whole lot of eyebrows going up about that, but a couple of the posing shots of Ortiz after those home runs, a few guys were saying, hey, run him out, big guy. You're getting killed in this game. You better run.
Fastball off the outside corner. Zambrano wanted the call, didn't get it. Dangerous pitch upcoming here at 3-1. It is very warm and very humid. And laws of physics will tell you the ball carries a lot further in this kind of weather.
Did you pass your physics classes?
No. That much I learned. Only because it pertained to baseball. Runner goes, and it's ball 4. The second walk issued in the game by Zambrano. In honor of Father's Day, we will be taking time to support the Home Run Challenge, Major League Baseball's effort to raise money to find a cure for prostate cancer. For every home run hit today, $22,000 will be donated towards prostate cancer research. Another big cap cure weekend.
That's a great move by Henry Blanco to go out there and talk to Zambrano right now. He's so emotional. Blanco's a great catch and throw guy, has struggled at the plate his whole career. But he said in his last outing against San Diego, he said when he started to struggle early, he said, I was going to go out there and slap him around a few times to wake him up and say, come on. And he ran out there right there. I was waiting for him to give him a nice backhand, I think. Blanco's not one bit afraid of Zambrano, who goes about 6'5", 250.
Now Manny Ramirez, only hitting .249. He has been productive, 11 home runs, 43 batted in. Manny hitting .293 with runners in scoring position this year, but he's not been the same Manny Ramirez. Just something a bit off.
Talked to Kevin Millar before the game. I said, what have you seen in Manny? He said, you know what? He's human. No one's ever seen him be human at the plate, and for a couple weeks he's looked like everyone else. Manny hasn't hit a home run in 16 games, a span of just over 60 at-bats. One of the keys to his hitting is to be able to get that front foot up and then down. That's his timing mechanism. He's been getting it down too quickly and then lunging at pitches.
Big swing and a miss. Another thing noticeable early on about Zambrano, Steve, the radar gun not nearly what it normally is. I mean, generally this guy's fastball 94, 95 plus. So far right around 90, 91.
And that's up around 94 when he's trying to sink the ball. Most pitchers will tell you if they throw a four-seamer, they can get more on it than if they're trying to sink the ball. They're not going to throw it as hard.
94 with that fastball, and Manny chases up and away. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts.
Well, that's the four-seamer that we talked about. He'll get a little more giddy up on the four-seam fastball, run it up in the strike zone, try to get Manny to chase. You can't hit that pitch. You see the lunging, he's out in front of himself there a little bit. No balance.
Two on, 2 out. 20 pitches thrown by Zambrano, and only 5 swings by Boston batters. There's a 6 as it's fouled straight back by Trot Nixon. Nixon, along with Jason Varitek, Kevin Youkilis, and Kelly Shopping, tasting Wrigley Field for the first time ever in the series opener yesterday. And you know, for guys like Nixon and Varitek especially, they dreamed about playing here a long time.
Those guys are just baseball gamers who want to have the experience of playing in every ballpark.
Strike 2. Trot at 288, healthy again. 7 home runs, 34 batted in. Missed a great deal of last season. The longest tenured Boston Red Sox player.
Almost never was a baseball player. Was going to be a quarterback at North Carolina State.
Now back out of play. Boy, Steve, you were out amongst the fans yesterday and again today. It's almost impossible to describe the atmosphere around this ballpark, Wrigleyville, the neighborhood around Wrigley's Field. And then once you get inside the ballpark, it is just spectacular.
We always talk about playoff type atmosphere, but the way the Red Sox travel these days, and what I mean by that is how many Red Sox fans show up when you're on the road. And you can see a ton of Red Sox jerseys and a lot of Red Sox and Cub pairings in the stands today. Maybe have a little friendly fighting going on in the stands.
Good pickup on that pitch in the dirt by Blanco. Runners at first and second, 2 away. 1 ball and 2 strikes here in the opening inning.
With all the traveling that we do around the country, and you especially, Tom, I really believe that at this point, with the Yankees struggling and after the World Series win that the Red Sox had last year, they now travel better than any team in baseball, and that used to be the Yankees.
And in the National League, the Cubs.
Absolutely.
Fastball high and away, and Zambrano barking in himself out there.
Zambrano right now really struggling with mechanics, falling out of his pitch, pulling out of there, falling to the first base side. And generally what happens when you do that is you let go of the pitch too early, it sails on you, and there's a lot of pitches up and away to left-handers and up and into righties, and that's what we've seen so far in the first.
2-2 pitch. Out away again. Boy, Zambrano as animated as ever out there on the mound. An all-star last season. And although only a 4-3 record this year, the terrific ERA at 2.94, league hitting 188 against him. The chances are very, very good he'll be back in the All-Star game this year. Seventh pitch in this at bat, 27th of the inning. Smoked into deep left center field. On the run is Hollingsworth. Goodbye. And you can hear the Red Sox Nation out in full force this weekend in Chicago.
Well, they didn't have a lot to cheer about yesterday, but this is just great hitting. Zambrano's going to throw the sinker away and the hard four-seam fastball. That sinker away. Nixon just went with it. Zambrano has not been able to throw his slider for a strike yet, trying to establish that fastball. Nixon sitting dead red all day long, but looking away.
So the 2 walks after 3 batters come back to bite Zambrano as Nixon hits his 8th home run of the season. And now the Boston captain Jason Varitek looks at a strike, and he's quickly behind 0-2. Varitek, the 18th full-time captain in franchise history, but only the 3rd since Jimmy Fox in 1942. The other 2, the Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski in 66, and again from 69 all the way to 83. And Jim Rice, the Boston captain, 85 through 89. Still 1-2 on Varitek.
At our production dinner last night before the ball game, our producer Jeff Gowan was asking everybody, what was your first job? You think Jason Varitek was meant to be a ball player? His first job ever in a batting cage when he was 13 years old.
Back up the middle. Behind the bag, Neifi Perez throws out Jason Varitek. But a couple of walks, and then with a couple of outs, Nixon to left center. 3-0 Boston. Out beyond the center field scoreboard in Wrigleyville. Let's take a look at Dusty Baker's lineup. Brought to you by Taco Bell. Neifi Perez, a shortstop. Corey Patterson in center. Big Derek Lee having a monster year at first. In line for a triple crown through the first 2 months. Jeremy Burnitz in right field. Aramis Ramirez at third. Todd Walker at second. A ladder third of Hollingsworth, Blanco, and Zambrano against a longtime Houston Astro, right-hander Wade Miller.
Wade Miller pretty much picked up off the scrap heap after some arm trouble. Red Sox, one of the few teams that offered him a deal, and look what he's done for him. He's had an outstanding addition to this staff. Great mound presence. This guy was well on his way to being the ace of the Astros before the injury. Better mechanics since he's been hurt. They've really worked with his delivery. And he's got a huge overhand curveball that he still is able to throw after the.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field in Chicago. A 3-run home run in the opening inning by Trot Nixon has given Boston an early 3-0 lead. Red Sox come to bat in the second. And former Cubs Bill Miller and Mark Bellhorn to start things against Carlos Zambrano. Miller at 271, a pair of home runs, 17 batted in. A couple of years ago, won an American League batting title. And starting to swing the bat much better here of late after a slow start. Hit well in the deep right field, and it is gone into the first row of the bleachers. 4-0 Boston.
Miller does the exact opposite of what Trot Nixon did. All he did was go out and try to hook this pitch into right field. He said, you can go ahead and try to throw sinkers away from me, but I'm going to go out and get the plate coverage. That was a slider. Zambrano knew he hung it. He has not been able to establish that slider at all.
Zambrano had only surrendered 7 home runs through 80 innings coming into the game today. But a 3-run home run in the first by Nixon, a solo blast by Miller to begin the second. 1-1 to Bellhorn. .253 batting. 3 home runs, 16 batted in. Strikes out a lot, walks a lot.
Set the franchise record for strikeouts for the Red Sox in last year's season, 177 of them. Struck out 66 times already this year, but has a good on-base percentage. Because of those walks, he's always on base. Takes a lot of pitches and runs a lot of counts full. Strikes out looking more than anybody in the American League.
2-2 to Bellhorn. Struck out swinging this time. While we have a moment, let's send it to Jeannie Zalesko in Los Angeles.
How about this play that ended the inning for the Red Sox there with Ortiz at home play with guys on first and second and 2 out. If you strike out and the catcher misses the ball, you can run to first base. Ortiz did not. And you know the way we do a game, Tommy, we understand how tough it is to play out there, and the only time you're really going to hear any noise from us is if you don't hustle. But I believe that Ortiz didn't realize that the ball was dropped. I don't think he knew that Blanco missed it. He's never had the reputation of a guy that doesn't hustle or doesn't care. Here's the swing again. Watch Ortiz's reaction. He doesn't even know that Blanco's missed the ball. Upset for striking out with 2 guys on. Didn't realize until it was too late.
Ortiz homered twice in the game yesterday. So too did Jeremy Burnett, giving him 10 on the year, 37 runs batted in, a .268 batting. Burnett's trying to replace Sammy Sosa as the Cubs' everyday right fielder this year. No one will be able to do that. Arguably the greatest Cub there ever was. Many out there will argue. Say Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Hack Wilson going way back, still the all-time single-season RBI leader. That one slapped into left field. A leadoff single by Burnett. Ruthian-like, wearing number 3. The pants pulled up high. A second inning solo shot off Arroyo, then a 2-run shot against John Halama in the 6th.
You're not going to have a lot of success going down and in to Burnett. That's his happy area. Going to hit that pitch. I talked to him before today's ball game about the whole Ruth wearing number 3 and with his socks pulled up high. He said, you know, it's a lot less about Babe Ruth. It's just that I'm getting heavier these days, so I'm just a fat guy and people think I look like Ruth. He said it's more about Todd Helton. Played with Helton a year ago. Said he admired him more than any hitter he's ever seen. Wanted to be a little bit more like him. So I'm wearing my socks for Todd Helton more than the Babe.
Yes, Ramirez. Ramirez signed the whopping long-term deal that was announced just hours before opening day this season. And then Ramirez went out on opening day, getting 3 hits, a double, a home run, and knocking in 4. Times have gotten lean for a long time for Ramirez since that opening day game until here of late. Beginning to swing the bat like he did during the second half of last year. 12 home runs, 31 driven in. 3 balls and a strike.
Certainly had a good playoff series a couple of seasons ago against the Florida Marlins when he got traded here to the Chicago Cubs. Lived most of his life in anonymity playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but since 2001 there's not a third baseman in baseball that has more hits than Ramirez, and that's why they backed the truck up to him, signed him to long term for some big cake.
We talk about where he ranks among all National League third basemen. And there you see first in home runs since the trade of 03, as Steve mentioned, from the Pirates. RBIs, doubles, batting average right there among the top 5.
I take him on my team.
Of course, that has been a revolving door position for the Chicago Cubs since the great Juan Santo. That one dumped into right field, a base hit. Burnett's making a turn, going to third, and the Cubbies knocking on the door with 2 on and nobody out here in the last of the second.
All right, this is not the type of swing that you hope to take when you're at the plate. It's called an emergency swing. You know the pitch is beating you, and you just drop your hands down through the zone. Watch how quickly and late. Oops. I don't know if I can hit this pitch. I hope I can foul it off, and you get lucky and dump it into right field for a hit. Burnett's going at the crack of the bat. He goes all the way to third easily. That's where Millar's sitting on the bench with the Red Sox again, saying it ain't that easy again.
Now Todd Walker playing in just his 20th game, and he shoots it into left center field, a base hit. Burnett will score. Ramirez going to third, and 3 straight singles produce the first run for Chicago.
Seeing some real good hitting. These Cub hitters trying to get back in the game. Like that breaking ball. Look at the vision on the ball down here. And then the swing, as we talked about, these hips not opening up, staying square to the ball, and then just driving the ball to the opposite field. Both of these guys either throwing backdoor breaking balls or sinkers away. You want to look away if you're a hitter.
Now Todd Hollinsworth takes high, ball 1. A single by Burnett, a single by Ramirez, a single by Walker has made it a 4-1 Boston lead. Runners on the corners and nobody out. Hollinsworth at .238, swung on and missed. A pair of home runs and 15 runs batted in. His playing time has gotten shorter and shorter here of late.
That's the first big, good curveball that we've seen from Wade Miller. We've had both pitchers struggling to establish their breaking pitches, and most of these hitters are going up looking for sinkers away or backdoor breaking balls and just hitting the ball where it's pitched.
Ripped into right field, a base hit by Hollinsworth will score. Ramirez 4-2 Boston. Hollinsworth got his first 2 extra base hits at Wrigley Field yesterday, and he drilled this pitch.
Right down the middle of the plate, bad location. You see you're setting up inside, that ball tails right back out over the middle. There's a lot of guys going to hit that pitch.
Told you this Cub team, which pretty much limped through the first month and a half of the season. They've had the devastating injuries hit to some of their marquee players. We mentioned Nomar. Kerry Wood on the disabled list, although he may be getting close to going out on a rehab assignment. Mark Pryor out for the foreseeable future. Those are the front 2 starters in their rotation. They traded LaTroy Hawkins, so they've had to deal with a lot. Yet they come in having won 11 of their last 15. And that one blooped into right field, a base hit by Blanco. And they're going to hold the runner at third. Nixon got to it quickly and fired a strike into the cutoff man Ortiz. 5 straight singles to begin the Cubs' second inning.
Blanco's about a career 200 hitter. He's hitting a .140 this year. High fastball, goes with it well, just jam shots it into right field. Trot Nixon with a reputation of having a great arm. Look how well he charges that ball. And there's no way at this point in this inning why you need to chance it and send Walker. You have nobody out. You have the bases loaded now. You have 5 straight hits. There's no reason to get Walker thrown out at the plate when Nixon's got a heck of an arm.
And Zambrano has 3 career home runs. This guy can hit. In there a strike. He is a switch hitter. In 2003, it was against Wade Miller when Carlos Zambrano hit a 2-run home run, the first of his 3 in his big league career. 0-1 to Zambrano. And a ground ball should be 2. Renteria to second, and that's a double play. Scoring from third is Walker to make it a 1-run ball game. But that's a situation you'd rather have Zambrano strike out than bounce into a double play.
Absolutely, but what I like about this play is the way Renteria fielded this ball, almost like he's a little leaguer. Watch him drop down to one knee. He knows this is a made to order. The only way he can mess it up is if he misses the ball. Just drop that right knee down, made sure he kept in front of him, on to second, then it's an easy double play. The only thing that would make it tough is if you bobble.
So now the tying run stands at third with 2 away. And here's Neifi Perez. He struck out his first time up. Perez has been remarkably productive this season, no matter where they bat him in the order. But first pitch hack and a 3-hopper to second will end the inning. The Cubs get 5 straight hits, producing 3 to draw within a run. We're back after a break from your local Fox station. Downtown Chicago, one of the great cities in this great land of ours. Well, I'm not so sure, and I know there are many out there that live in different parts of the country, but for a weekend in the summertime, it's hard to beat this town. Wintertime, a little bit different ball game. And they love their Cubs. Aramis Ramirez leads off the bottom of the 4th inning, a 4-3 Boston lead, and it's ball 1 away.
Got to tell you, so far this season on the South Side, they're loving their White Sox too.
Best record in all of baseball. John Garland getting his 10th win, joining Dontrell Willis in the National League last night, beating San Diego. And the White Sox picking up a game on the 3-time American League Central Division champion Minnesota Twins. Fouled back out of play.
The White Sox, what a difference a little philosophy change makes, and a little maturity out of your starting pitchers. John Garland finally growing into the pitcher that they expected out of him. You get Podsednik at the front of the lineup, start running, being a little more aggressive, changing your style of play. It's a pretty darn good baseball team.
An unbelievable record at 41-19. Swung on and fouled out of play. And of course, Cub fans don't want to hear anything about the White Sox, but the White Sox have been not only a surprise team in baseball because of the numbers and philosophy change you just mentioned, they've been the best team in baseball. Two on Ramirez. Popped up and playable. Down the right field line. Nixon coming on. 1 away. Well, this week in Major League Baseball history, June 11, 1938, the Reds left-hander Johnny Vandermeer pitched the first of 2 consecutive no-hitters. The Reds beat the Boston Braves in his next start, became the first pitcher in baseball history to throw 2 no-hitters during the same year, and remains the only one to do it consecutively. America's beer salutes America's pastime, Budweiser, proud sponsor of Major League Baseball. For more MLB information, log on to foxsports.com on MSN. Keyword Budweiser. Grounded foul by Todd Walker. And the king of beers, front and center.
Hey.
Our old buddy Harry Carey.
Like Harry.
Well, there is no one like him. I had the opportunity to work alongside of him 6 years. And words could never begin to describe what it was like to be around him each and every day for 6 years. Everyone misses Harry Carey, whether you knew him or didn't. I mean, there are just certain icons, legends. Steve, in our business, Jack Buck in St. Louis for many years, Vin Scully in Los Angeles, Joe Garagiola Sr. still broadcasting games even now in Arizona. And I'd like to think that my dad's going to be in that group one of these days.
Vin Scully.
Absolutely. But so many great ones. Kurt Gowdy for a long time with a Saturday game of the week. But Harry, right there among the all-time giants.
Well, Thom, as you said that everybody loved Harry, whether you knew him or not. One of the most impressive things that I ever saw from Harry Carey was that he knew you. I mean, first time I ever met Harry, I was at the Chicago Sports Writers dinner. And he walked up and said, "Hey, Steve Lyons, how you doing?" And I'm like, how the heck would you even know who I am?
2-2 to Walker. Down the right field line. Nixon dives off the edge of his glove. It goes to the wall. Walker making a turn, coming to third, and he will get there easily. Great effort by Nixon. Just a fraction late.
Well, once again, a mistake location. That ball hangs out over the plate. Walker's all over it, but look at the all-out effort by Nixon. Just grazes off the edge of his glove. But why this is a great play by him anyway, if he doesn't dive, it's still a triple. You might as well give your best effort. Try to make the play. If you do, he's out. If you don't, it still bounces around that corner, and with Walker's speed, he's going to make it probably to third anyway.
Boy, look at that effort by Nixon.
Now you get that every day, every inning out of Trot Nixon.
Now Boston brings the infield in. Tying run at third, one out. And Hollingsworth looks at strike one. Hollingsworth, a run-scoring single his first time up. Miller, Renteria, Bellhorn, and Ortiz all drawn in. And that one nearly thrown to the backstop.
Hey, take a good look at the positioning of the Red Sox infielders. The importance of why they're in at this point is what we talked about before with Zambrano settling down. Try to cut off as many runs as you can.
Hollingsworth fouled that one off his leg, similar to what happened to him last year. It looked like a foul ball off the foot or off the knee. He wound up missing the rest of the year.
He had nerve damage. You see the protective guard that he wears on that leg now, which is an odd spot to get hit, but that looked like it hit him off the back leg.
And then he fell down awkwardly with his foot tucked underneath that leg. The only guy I've ever seen break a foot off his back foot was Matt Williams.
You rarely see a guy hit the ball off their back foot. That's like off the outer side of his back knee. That's tough to do. Doesn't mean it hurts any less.
Steve, you and I were there when Jermaine died. Very much like that, although very different than Hollingsworth, because Hollingsworth has at least gotten back to his feet. Jermaine Dye broke the leg in 3 different places.
That ball hit Jermaine Dye's leg so hard it almost didn't bounce off of it. It almost just stuck on his leg. It hit him so hard.
Next week, a special starting time, 3 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Noon Pacific, I beg your pardon, 2 Central. The Cubs go to the Bronx. In Yankee Stadium, we will see the Florida Marlins and the Los Angeles Angels. Hollingsworth is okay.
Now you take a foul ball like that, and as we talked about, generally you foul it off your front leg, but you're talking about a guy out there throwing the ball 90 miles an hour. You foul it off just enough to catch your own leg with it. There's no protection. Hollingsworth is staying in the game right now because it's a game where he's a baseball player. He wants to play, but do you think he wants to be out? He wants to be back there with ice on his leg right now. Someone taking care of him. That stuff hurts.
Now try and shake it off. He has a tying run at third with one away and a 1-2 pitch. Fastball again sails high. One out. Tying run at third. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning. And a 2-2 to Hollingsworth. Just missed the inside corner. Well, it's not the end of the world if you're Wade Miller. If you happen to walk Hollingsworth here, you put the double play at least in order from the slow-footed Henry Blanco, who waits on deck.
And before today's base hit was hitting a .140 coming into this ball game.
Little number, and this is going to get the run in. Miller throws out Hollingsworth. I mean, you couldn't roll it out there any better than that. And we're tied at 4.
And this was very strange play too, because the only guy that had a chance to throw this ball home would have been Renteria, but generally the third baseman will cut the shortstop off on a ball that he can go to his left on. You see that Miller's going to his left, Renteria's coming straight in. Now Miller, there's almost a little confusion as to who is going to pick it up, and by that time you're not throwing out anybody at the plate.
So after jumping out in front 4-0, the Red Sox have watched the Cubs battle back to tie here in the bottom of inning number 4. Line to softly foul. 1-1 to Blanco.
Blanco's such an outstanding defensive catcher. Great arm behind the plate, handles the pitching staff very well. He's about a career 200 hitter. You don't hang around in the big leagues hitting 200 if you're not a master behind the plate.
Blanco playing in place of the Cubs' everyday catcher, Michael Barrett. And a ground ball softly to the left side. Renteria backhands, and that will end the inning. But the Cubs tied on a triple by Walker and a ground out. The big fella's coming up. Ortiz, Manny, and Nixon when we return.
Coming right back with this play with Carlos Zambrano at second base, sliding awkwardly. And then in the dugout, the medical staff working on his left big toe. You can see it behind the guy messing with his bat. That's his big toe on his left foot. He came out to warm up and he said, I can't go anymore. Must have done something very serious, maybe a broken toe. It was just an awkward slide. He dragged that foot over the bag, and it didn't look good. And Zambrano can't go any longer today.
And you know what Cub fans are saying all over Chicago and all over the country for that matter, because they have them from coast to coast. What else could go wrong?
You know, Dusty Baker got this team together after Pryor's injury. A day after that happened, he got his coaching staff together and he had a meeting and he said, look, we have to change our approach, and it's not with our starting pitchers or anyone else on the pitching staff. We have to change our approach offensively. And since that point in time, this team just went crazy offensively. The entire league thought that if you lose Wood and you lose Pryor, you're done. That has not happened. This team has been surging since the Mark Pryor injury.
Well, speaking of Mark Pryor, today's WebMD health update focuses on the fractured right 4 times. Blew out Colorado and have been rolling ever since. Rather odd that on a day when your ace goes down, that's when the season got turned around, at least to this point, for the Cubs. And their brittle pair of Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood. 3 years ago, they were talking about Pryor and Wood being likened to Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling, which at the time was ridiculous and is still ridiculous, because Johnson and Schilling, at least Schilling up until this year, always took the ball and were rarely, if ever, hurt.
Never had a problem. Just going back to that WebMD, I was just checking in on Thom's WebMD. And what happens when you look at your, forget about the elbow over here.
Well, you started by spelling my name right. You get that right.
Oh, I forgot. Let me get that little thing in there. What is that anyway?
All right, move ahead.
There's a big paraphrasing your name.
In SUVs, we are professional grade. Yes, the magnificent mile, Michigan Avenue, downtown Chicago, right by the water tower in this great city. The curse of the Bambino came to an end last season. What about the curse of the Billy Goat? When will it end?
See that one kid there with the Red Sox hat on, looked like he borrowed it from Trot Nixon.
Well, Wade Miller had a 4-0 lead, gave up 3 runs in the second. A 1-out triple to Todd Walker in the 4th inning. A ground out by Hollingsworth tied the game. Pitched out a 2-out trouble in the 5th inning, getting Burnitz on a fielder's choice, and now Ramirez to begin the 6th. I'll tell you, Wade Miller, a mighty shrewd signing by Theo Epstein and the Boston Red Sox. This guy was among the elite pitchers in the National League when healthy, and then got hurt about midway through last year. Houston would have had to go to arbitration with Miller. You really can't blame them for not bringing him back. They wondered if he would ever be the same guy, and because of this, the system that is in place, Houston would have been forced to pay Miller a pile of money, far more than Boston was able to sign him for.
And Miller had to come back and prove that he could be the pitcher that he was in the past.
Soft liner caught by Renteria. Well, it's time for our Pepsi. Look for game codes on specially marked Pepsi packaging and collect GoPro points redeemable for sports gear. Log on to PepsiGoPro.com to find out how you can enter to win a Pepsi Ultimate Sports Pass prize package. One another Todd Walker. Line into right field. That guy can hit. He can hit.
You talk about a good hitter and how quick he is to the ball. Watch how quick his hands get through the hitting zone. That's a big breaking ball, hanging out over the middle a little bit. Watch the balance. Gets his front foot up, gets it back down in nice hitting position. A little back this way, that's not a problem. You don't want to end up being that way with the front half. Good hitting position on his way out of the box and down the line. You remember when Walker was with the Boston Red Sox, helped them out into the playoffs, but they were worried that he didn't play defense well enough. Ended up with the Cubs.
Well, he's never going to win a Gold Glove, but I think there are a lot of teams in baseball that would be very happy to have Todd Walker playing second base for them. I mean, maybe an average defender, maybe a little bit better than average, maybe, but he can swing that bat, and a great guy in the clubhouse. Down the left field line, base hit by Hollingsworth. Manny charging hard, but it stalls in the outfield grass, allowing Walker to advance on to third.
That's the same type of play that we talked about, Tommy. That double play ball that was hit to Neifi Perez that was unable to turn it because of the slow grass. Same situation here. Once this ball gets into the outfield grass, it almost checks up like a 9-iron. Look at that thing just stop. Every one of these Cub players knows that once it gets into the grass, it's not going to go anywhere. They can take advantage of that, be more aggressive on the base pass. It's a home field type advantage to know how your grass is going to play when the ball hits into the outfield. Manny Ramirez had to run all the way down the line to get it, and Walker moves easily into third base.
You could have one whale of an Easter egg hunt in this graph.
mow the lawn and find a car.
Now Henry Blanco. Infield in. And Matt Manti begins to throw in the bullpen. Down and into Blanco, who has singled to right field and bounced out to short. Chris Spire, the Cubs' third base coach, going through a number of signs, and then will whisper in the ear of the runner at third, Todd Walker. Would they think of a squeeze here? No. Fly ball, center field. This will get the runner in. Throw going into third. And runner safe at both ends. And the Cubs have their first lead of the game. It's 5-4.
Johnny Damon in center field here really doesn't get behind this ball and give himself enough momentum to throw the ball into third base. This could have been a much closer play had he stayed back on that ball and caught it on the run a little bit. He kind of got caught camping underneath it and then didn't have a lot of momentum to make that throw to third.
Jose Macias will now come on and bat for Wellerman, who pitched a scoreless inning. Striking out 2, striking out 3, I beg your pardon, and walking 2. 0-1 to Macias. Wendlinger will come on in the 7th. Mike Myers, a left-hander. Matt Manti, the right-hander. Cranking it up in the Boston bullpen. Broken bat, roller foul.
You were talking about baseball lingo before. A lot of guys on the bench saying that that pitch got severely in his kitchen. Almost hit that one right off his knuckles.
Runner at third, 2 out. And a ground ball that will stay fair this time at Ortiz to end the inning. But the Cubs have taken a lead for the first time. It's 5-4. We're back to Chicago after a break from your local Fox station. Well, the Cubby Bear just on the corner of Clark and Addison. Another one of the more famous haunts here in Wrigleyville.
I can never get in that place unless I drop your name.
And then you're in for sure.
Absolutely. VIP section.
And more than likely asked to leave shortly thereafter. Mike Myers now takes over on the mound. Having a good year. So the Cubs bat for what they hope will be the final time here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Boston jumped out to a 4-0 lead after an inning and a half. The Cubs got 3 back in the bottom of the 2nd on 5 straight singles. One of them by the man who bats now. In fact, he led off that inning with a single and scored the first of 3. Cubs tied the game on a triple by Todd Walker in the 4th inning, who scored on a ground out by Hollingsworth. And then a single by Walker. He went to third on a double by Hollingsworth in the 6th. And Blanco gave the Cubs their first lead, which stands now with a fly ball to center.
How about Mike Myers, the only guy in the whole stadium outside you and I that's wearing long sleeves? I think someone told him, be warm today. Someone froze to death out here last night.
And Myers has pitched here many, many times in his days in the National League. 3-1 to Burnett.
He's no fun for a lefty. Sidewinder coming from Laredo. It looks like the ball's coming from second base.
And a Base hit into left center field off the bat of Burnitz, over to try and cut it off Ramirez. And Burnitz had ideas of trying for 2, but a nice play made by Manning. Well, Boston nearly had the lead, Steve. That final swing in the top of this 7th inning by Bellhorn.
Bellhorn thought he got this one. This is a little bit of a hanging breaking ball. Thinks he's got it. There's a lot of stress on that swing.
So Myers in for one batter. Now he will leave for Manti. As that one caught at the base of the wall in dusty sand. Yeah.
It's the bomb. 3, 2, 1, detonate. Then.
Again, we remind you, Major League Baseball on Fox. Regional coverage next week. A special time, 3 Eastern, 2 Central, noon Pacific. The Cubs and the Yankees from the Bronx, or the Florida Marlins against the Los Angeles Angels at Anaheim. Check local listings for the game in your area. Of course, it was the Florida Marlins who denied the Chicago Cubs their first trip to the World Series since 1945, 2 years ago, as Matt Manti, a former Florida Marlin, takes over on the mound.
Former closer for the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. Had some arm surgeries, trying to work his way back. This is a guy that was, when he's healthy, threw the ball up there about 98 miles an hour. With a big old hook to go with it. It was almost unfair when he had both pitches going.
Now Ramirez. Manti still throws very hard. He was traded from the Marlins, as you mentioned, to Arizona in the Brad Penny deal back in 1999, when the Diamondbacks, in just their second year, were gunning for their first divisional championship. Felt like they needed Manti to do it. They got him, and they won it. Up and into Ramirez. This entire Boston pitching staff has struggled so badly for nearly the entire year, but especially of late. The 5.04 ERA, the highest point since it stood at 5.12 on April the 14th. That was 9 games into the year. They got it down to barely over 4 by the middle of May. But in the last month, their team earned run average is over 6. They're allowing the 6 runs per game, and in the 27-game stretch, allowed 32 home runs. Ryan Dempster cranking it up for a save chance, perhaps, in the 9th inning. Two and one on Ramirez. Burnitz will lead over at first. And that ball shot into right center field. It will go to the wall. Burnitz racing to third. They will wave him around. He will score on a double by Ramirez.
Well, everybody loves the ivy on the walls here. We've talked a lot about it today, but it is very functional at times for this ballpark. We saw the ball that Patterson was able to relay in to save a run. This ball gets hung up in the ivy, but not so much that it's stuck. This ball doesn't bounce back out. Damon has to go in and get it. That allows Burnitz to score all the way from first base. Burnitz, as soon as the ball's hit, he knows it's in the gap. Still runs very, very big for a big guy, or fast for a big guy. Great turn at third. No hesitation at all, and it was easily scored on that play because the ball didn't bounce out of the ivy and off of that wall.
And now time to cool off. So Myers allows a hit to the only batter he faces, is charged with a run. The first batter Manti faces allows an RBI double.
People forget that Jeremy Burnitz early in his career, especially when he was in the minor leagues, was a 30-30 guy in the minor leagues. Used to run very, very well. Had a gruesome ankle injury that cut down some of his speed when he was still in the minor leagues. Still can pick him up and put him down.
Walker a 3-hit day, a pair of singles, a triple, has scored 3 times and knocked in a run. 1-2. It has been quite a run for this Chicago Cub team over the last 3 weeks. So you see Nomar had the gruesome injury. As that one is bounced to the right side. That's an excellent at bat right there by Walker. Getting the runner to third. Very well done. Right now, here's Gene Velasco in Los Angeles with a game break.
And last we spoke, Mariano Rivera was on his way in to face Larry Walker for the final out in the 8th. St. Louis 3-2 count. Rivera strikes him out with Albert Pujols on deck. 2 Cardinals stranded. Yankees still lead.
Red Sox fans don't like that. Cubs fans love it.
Yeah, they do.
2 of the perhaps 3 best rivalries in all of baseball. Red Sox Yankees, Cubs Cardinals, and still a great one out west with the Dodgers and Giants. And that fellow right there with his green Red Sox jersey on. They wear those in spring training, right?
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Infield in. Good slider by Manti there.
Well, you talk about the day that Walker has had with the at-bat he had right there, getting the runner over to third base, scored 3 times, has 3 hits, player of the game, really. The back half of this order for the Cubs has done most of the damage all day long.
Broken bat flare into short right. It'll fall, a base hit. Scoring is Ramirez, and the Cubs lead by 3. It's 7-4. Time to take a look at our in-game box score for the Cubs, brought to you by Prilosec. And as Steve mentioned, after the first 3 spots in the batting order, a lot of crooked numbers thereafter.
Especially from the back half of this order.
Hollinsworth, a 3-hit day, has knocked in 3 runs. A pair of singles, a double, and 3 RBIs. That's 1/5 of his season total in 1 game. Now Blanco, 1 of 2 with a sac fly RBI.
Tom, we're going to get a chance to go back to that last play here in a little bit, but I want to set it up by saying, you know, when you're on third base and there's a hitter at the plate, what's the first thing that the third base coach will tell you on a fly ball?
Get back.
Tag up.
Runner goes, fouled out of play.
Here it is here. You watch what Ramirez does on this play. Fly ball to right field. He goes halfway. A lot of people will say that's the wrong play, but it's the right play here because if the ball drops in, you score. If it doesn't drop in, Nixon's going to catch it. You don't have a chance to tag up. If you tag up on that play, you don't score when it drops in. Really good heads-up base running by Ramirez on that play, and somewhat the opposite of traditional thinking. Everyone says fly ball, you better tag up. Not on that play because you're not going to score if Nixon catches the ball.
Manti, the 3rd pitcher used, the 2nd in this inning, following Mike Myers. And that duo has allowed a couple of runs on 3 hits so far.
Just saying hello.
Two-1 on Blanco. Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw down to second, and he's out by 10 feet. So they try to play a little run and hit with Blanco, and when he misses it, Hollingsworth was in trouble.
Hollingsworth actually got a pretty good jump on this play, but like you said, it's a hit and run play, trying not to get picked off. You swing through that pitch. Renteria is just waiting for you to come down so I can tag you. Veritek, easy play for him to make behind the plate.
The Boys and Girls Clubs of America, the official charity of Major League Baseball. Together they create a positive place for kids.
Henry Blanco keeping things easy at home. He has 2 sons. One of them named Henry, the other Henry Jr. Like George Foreman with all the Georges that he has.
You got to be kidding.
No, I'm not.
So around the house, it's come here, Henry, and 4 people come running at you.
You're never late for dinner.
The Red Sox come to bat in the 9th inning, trailing 7-4. And they'll be facing Ryan Dempster, a former National League All-Star, as a starting pitcher for the Florida Marlins. Has bounced around since leaving that organization with a number of arm injuries. Cubs took a flyer on him, and now he is their closer.
Wasn't always in that closer's role here. He's got a lot of innings pitched already, but now has settled into that role.
Enrique Wilson takes over for Todd Walker at second base. And John Olerud leads off the Boston 9th inning. And he takes high 2-0. Dempster has been on quite a roll in this closer's job, but make no mistake about it, still an unproven, dependable, reliable closer. And the fans around here, after watching what they have watched in the Cub bullpen the last couple of years, it doesn't matter what kind of role any pitcher is on, they still hold their collective breath. In the air, left center field, and playable for Patterson. Up against the ivy. And that is a double for Olerud. That ball may have hit the bottom part, the underneath part of the screen, and then bounced off Patterson's head.
Did look like it hit Patterson's head. He's going for the ball here. Now he's backing off a little bit, feeling the wall. Hit him right off the noggin.
Wow.
I'm thinking you got to get your glove up in the air right here. He's got a chance to catch that ball. If you jump, hits the ivy, hits him right off the face. Hollingsworth doing a great job of backing that play up, but Olerud now with great speed. Patterson got to the wall. Why not jump and try to catch it once he got there?
Now Johnny Damon takes down low for ball 1. Damon has walked, scored, doubled. 1 of 3. So the top of the Boston batting order with a runner aboard. And that ball in the air to right center field. Patterson will get to this one. And tagging and advancing on to third is Olerud. Today's Chevrolet player of the game, you mentioned it a moment ago, Todd Walker.
Walker with the 3 hits, 3 runs scored in today's game. Single to left field in his first at bat, and then double to right off the glove of Trot. Nixon tripled actually to right field. Scored 3 times on the day. Nice day.
And the only time it got him out, he advanced to runner second and third. In recognition of his outstanding play, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution. As that one is shot into right field, it'll fall in a base hit by Renteria. And then what a pickup by Burnitz. Keeping the double play at least in order. What an effort that was by Burnitz. It's a 2-run ball game.
And Trout gets up and gives him a nice hand. Look at the full extension here to try to stop that ball, then bouncing off of this wall. There's zero foul ground out there. Getting the ball back into the infield to hold that play to a single. Renteria runs very well. That's an outstanding defensive play.
And again, we'd like to remind you, Chevrolet donates $1,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Chevy, an American Revolution. Well, the Boston Red Sox trying to stave a revolution here in the top half of the 9th inning. They've scored a run, and now they have the tying run at the plate in big David Ortiz.
Dempster's fastball's been hittable, and Ortiz is a fastball hitter.
Well, the Boston Red Sox have rallied 4 times with come-from-behind wins in the 9th inning or later this season, which is the most in the Major League. Rolled over one of the first baseman, Lee. He'll take it himself. And now Boston down to its final out. But the big slugger, Manny Ramirez, coming up.
That's some nice pitching right there. He throws the two-seam fastball right by Ortiz, comes back, takes something off, throws the two-seamer, fades it away from Ortiz, and gets him to roll over harmlessly to first. This guy is not going to go away quietly, though.
In honor of Father's Day, we're taking time to support the Home Run Challenge. Major League Baseball's effort to raise money to find a cure for prostate cancer. 2 home runs today, $44,000 donated towards prostate cancer research. Manny Ramirez looks at a fastball strength on the outside corner. And Dusty Baker's team 1 out away from winning for the 12th time in their last 16 games. That one off the glove of Blanco, and Renteria advances 90 feet. The only run that matters is a guy standing there with a bat in hand right now.
Ramirez now homerless in his last 17 games played, including this one. More than 60 at-bats now. As you mentioned, that was almost a purpose pitch right there. Just aired it out as hard as he could throw it. He doesn't care about Renteria at all.
1-1. Swing and a miss. So now the Cub faithful, all standing, hoping that Dempster can put away Ramirez and make it back-to-back wins in this weekend series. Two and two. You mentioned Manny Ramirez with the 4 at-bats today. Has now gone 65 at-bats since his last home run on May the 22nd against Atlanta. He started the year without a home run, his first 38 at-bats. So his 11 home runs came in 110 at-bats in between.
Went through a period this year where he went for a month and hit below 200, which is very un-Manny-like.
That one down the right field line, fair ball into the corner. Will bring in Renteria, and Manny Ramirez has made it a 1-run game with an opposite field double.
Ramirez, even when he's struggling, has great plate coverage. Watch how far down and away he goes to get that ball. His swing is so compact. He hits this ball so hard into the right field corner. We just saw Burnitz run into the corner and get Renteria's ball and save turn a double into a single. There's no way he could get there on that one that quickly.
Larry Rothschild out for a visit. And now it'll be Trot Nixon. As a Boston dugout. Watching that double by Manny. Bringing the Bo Sox within a run. Nixon, a 3-run home run in the opening inning, has since bounced to first, grounded to second, and singled to right. a tying run with 2 away in the ninth. Off the end of the bat, foul. A home run by Nixon came off Carlos Zambrano. Trot's 8th of the year. And now 37 runs batted in. What a block there by Blanco. 1 ball and 1 strike. It's been a struggle this season for the defending world champion Red Sox. At times very well. They've not won more than 2 games in a row in over a month. They just went 16 days without an off day. Terry Francona says it's a tired group. And they're hoping to get off this road trip and get back home and get things rolling again. They're down a run with Ramirez at second and 2 away in the ninth. Fastball missed the outside corner.
That kid in the crowd was 10 years old, and even he knew it was a strike. Pretty close. You don't see the Red Sox fans reacting like that, though.
Dips to the pause and a 2-1 to Nixon. In the air, down the left field line. Ramirez in foul ground. He's got it, and the Cubs have made it back-to-back wins over Boston. 7-6 the final today. Cubs are starting to get it together.
I think you got to give their club a lot of credit. They get down early. Zambrano settles down before his injury, gets the job done. Their bullpen was fantastic, and they came back and scored enough runs to win a game after being down by 4.
Our producer of today's game, Jeff Gowen. Our director, Jim Lynch. Our associate director, Eric Billigmeyer. And our broadcast associate, Darren Foster. Our technical producer, Greg Marlowe. And our technical director, Michael Bird. Studio technical supervisor, Jack Simmons. Produced by Scott Ackerson. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. And the executive producers are David Hill and Ed Gorin. For Steve Lyons, I'm Thom Brennaman for our entire Fox crew, saying so long from Chicago. Jeannie Zelasco and Kevin Kennedy will be along in the Fox Network Center. After these messages, see you next week in Anaheim.